certified natural medical practitioner, and the topic on board is the failing memory, short-term memory loss. What does it mean to you? What does it mean to you? Is it a normal one or something more serious is developing? We'll be looking at that, the signs, and then the causes and risk factors of that. But now, let's try to understand that everyone forgets things at times. So the question is that, how often have you misplaced your car keys or your mobile phone, forgetting the name of a person you have just met? Some degree of memory problem as well as modest decline in other thinking skills is fairly common part of aging. It is kind of acceptable with time, or with age, I should say. But normal age-related memory loss doesn't prevent you from living a full, productive life. For example, you might occasionally forget a person's name, but you can recall it or remember it later in the day. Maybe you need to make a list. Let's say when you're going shopping, you need to make a list often so that you don't forget, so that you can do the right thing in the shop. You can make also a list about your appointment and task that you need to carry out in the day. So short-term memory refers to the memory systems in the brain involved in remembering pieces of information for a short period of time, often up to 30 seconds. By some estimates, short-term memory can hold around 7 items of information at one time. So it means that our short-term memory capacity is limited only up to 7 items of information. You see, information can move from short-term memory into a long-term memory where the brain permanently stores the information for future remembrance or recall when it is necessary. Long-term memory does not seem to have a specific limit or a maximum capacity, so you can store as much as you like. That is long-term memory. But short-term memory has a limit. You can only store just 7 items. I'm saying this for you to know and understand that maybe within a short period of time you may like to take in a lot of information, and that you may get frustrated because of the fact that you are not able to take in a lot of information and to remember all those items of information. It's just very normal. Although short-term memory being a normal part of getting older for some people or many people, it can be a sign of deeper problem such as dementia or brain injury or a mental health issue. Alright, so we cannot just underestimate failing memory, because it could be the beginning of something a little bit more serious. But the question at this point, the question I want to ask here is that, what's normal forgetfulness? And then what's not? What's normal forgetfulness and what's not? So what's the difference now between normal age-related forgetfulness and a serious memory problem? So as we're saying that it's normal to forget things once in a while as we age, but serious memory problems make it hard to do everyday things like driving or using the phone or finding your way home. And that could be quite a serious thing, So let's have a look here. Some signs that will surely may prick you or make you take a serious step because something really is happening. Anytime you ask the same questions over and over again when you're talking to somebody and you ask the same questions over and over again, then you have to know that it is quite serious. Another sign that is quite serious is that getting lost in places you have been to, or you know well, is not a good thing. Then you get confused. You get lost there, a place that you know very well, or having trouble following a recipe that somebody has actually told you about or is telling you about, maybe giving you some directions to get somewhere, and you find it difficult to follow those steps. You can't even remember anything at all. Asking the person to repeat over and over again, it is not a good sign. Or becoming more confused about time and people and places is also not a good sign. In fact, to a greater extent, not taking care of oneself. What does it mean? It means that eating poorly, or even forgetting even to bath. Some individuals, they forget to bath. It's quite serious. Or behaving unsafely, all right, either to themselves or people around them. These are signs that could be quite serious, that attention should be paid to. Now, let's have a look and compare what could be quite serious, that is in Alzheimer's, and what could be normal, that is regarding normal aging process. Now, when you make one bad decision just once a while, it is just normal thing. It's just natural. On the flip side, in Alzheimer's, you can hear the person makes poor judgments over and over again. And that in a normal aging situation, you could miss a bill to pay, a monthly bill to pay. It is not a normal aging process. But in Alzheimer's, you forget bills to pay over and over every month. Now, in a normal aging situation, forgetting which day it is and remembering it later is just normal. But in Alzheimer's situation or condition, that individual loses track of date and time of the year. It's quite serious, right? And then in a normal aging process, sometimes forgetting which word to use when you're talking to somebody, you may forget a word. You may try to recall a word, and you may not remember it. It's just normal. Later, you may remember that word. But in Alzheimer's situation, that individual may have trouble having a conversation because the words even don't come. Not just a word, but words will not come. In the normal aging process, you may lose some things from time to time. You place something somewhere and forget it. It just happens once a while. But in Alzheimer's disease, you misplace things often and you are not able to recall, or that individual can recall where they've placed those things. So that we compare what is normal with age and then what could be abnormal because of a disorder, serious brain disorder like Alzheimer's. Right. But so when we look at it critically, the common signs of short-term memory loss is asking someone questions over and over for their names or for some specific questions to clarify something over and over again, and then being confused about what you are doing or what is going on in the day. You get confused. Sometimes it's just a short-term memory loss, or having trouble to remember or understand information you have just received. It's just a short-term memory loss. All right. As I was saying, that going to your fridge, you want to pick up something, but you've forgotten. It's just a short-term memory loss. That may not be a quite serious problem at all. Okay, but then let's have a look here. The causes of short-term memory loss, the failing memory, what could be behind? Now, first factor here is about the aging process. You see, as someone ages or as we age, there are changes that happen in the brain, and it tends to develop, with age. In fact, with age, our brain tends to shrink. It tends to become smaller. Why? Because of a few factors like digestive problem, even the healthy food that you eat. With age, the elderly normally don't digest their food well to get the nutrients. Many elderly people got atherosclerosis. It means the plugging of the arteries, so the transport system to transport the nutrients to your brain even cannot do that effectively. Individuals, elderly people, may have also problem with the heart. The heart cannot pump well even to get blood around to the brain. So with time, there could be a problem, deficiency of nutrients, deficiency of oxygen in the brain. That wouldn't actually restore the regeneration of the brain cells so quickly as it should be, or to connect new nerves. You see, the brain got ability, even with age, we got ability to generate fresh brain cells, new brain cells, and new connections of the nerves. But if you don't transport enough nutrients, enough oxygen into the brain, then definitely there will be a problem. There will be brain disorders like forgetfulness and more seriously Alzheimer's or dementia. Now, when we move on, we also would understand that there is a neurodegenerative disease. Neurodegenerative disease can definitely affect the nerves, and then it can impact the brain function. It means ability to remember. So neurodegenerative diseases might start in some individuals. I'm going to talk about neurodegenerative disease. They are like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's diseases, vascular dementia. They may develop in that individual or developing in that individual. That means that it could affect the nerves and causing short-term memory issues. Now, another factor here is head injury, the trauma to the head. So many types of injury can damage brain cells and potentially cause temporary or permanent short-term memory loss. So that is another thing, the trauma to the head. Infection, so chronic or severe infection in the brain and other parts of the body can cause memory problems or memory loss. Example, HIV or acute inflammation disease of the brain. It's called encephalitis. Encephalitis is acute inflammation of the brain. Tumors. Now, tumors, that is some growths. These tumors can be cancerous or it can be benign. It can also contribute to this problem, brain disorders. Sometimes it may be abnormal growths on the brain. It can potentially interfere with brain functioning and impact short-term memory. Now, stroke and cardiac arrest is another factor. A stroke or heart attack can cause brain damage by depriving the brain of oxygen. What actually leads to stroke? In fact, normally if the arteries, the carotid arteries that supply blood to the brain, if it is plaque, if it is narrowed and stiff, reducing blood to the brain and maybe a clot formation can cut off the blood to the brain, and that can lead to stroke. If it is the same process going towards the heart, it causes heart attack. So a stroke or heart attack can cause brain damage by depriving the brain of oxygen. So it is very, very important not to deprive the brain of blood. Brain needs a lot of blood. Our brain really needs it, and we have to do everything to have strong circulation or good circulation. There are some medications that can also contribute or serve as risk factor of short-term memory loss. That is cholesterol medications and medications for we call them anti-anxiety medications, and the medications for seizures or epilepsy drugs. They can also cause that problem. Painkillers, can also cause or contribute to short-term memory loss. High blood pressure. If you are on high blood pressure medication, you see, high blood pressure medications don't only cause kidney problems, or if you're a man, causing sexual dysfunction, but also can cause short-term memory problems. Parkinson drugs, or drugs that are given for sleeping, that are sleeping tablets or sleeping pills, can contribute to short-term memory problem. And remember, if you begin to have short-term memory issues, from there it goes further to different problems. So anything that contributes to short-term memory, you got to remember to cut it off, to definitely cut it off. And there are some also factors like sleep problems. If you have problems sleeping in the night, or you're doing night duty, with time you may also have issues with a short-term memory loss. Now, chronic pain. Research has shown that chronic pain conditions, if you're chronically in pain, maybe you have arthritis, you've had it for a long time, and you are continuously in pain, research has shown that it can contribute to brain fog. Now, brain fog, it's a condition that it makes it more difficult for you to remember. So it can really contribute to short-term memory loss. Hypothyroidism, that is underactive thyroid. If you have underactive thyroid problem, or we call it hypothyroidism also can contribute to short-term memory loss. Cerebral vasculitis is simply inflammation of your blood vessels. The blood vessels which carry blood around, if they are inflamed, the walls, the linings are inflamed, it can definitely impede blood flow. It means that you wouldn't have enough blood getting to the brain. There are some key nutrients that our body needs, especially the brain, and that is the B vitamins. When I talk about the B vitamins, like vitamin B12, it doesn't mean that you go for vitamin B12 or folic acid. That is the separate folic acid or vitamin B12. No. You should go for all the members in the vitamin B family. There are 8 members in the vitamin B family. It's very important to have all together, because when you take them together, they work in synergy, they work to balance so that your brain can be well fed. There are other nutrients like fatty fish. Every fatty fish like salmon and sardines, they're really, really great for the brain. Nuts and seeds. Now, nuts like the walnut, they're really also wonderful for the brain. Tomatoes actually look like the brain. When you cut it, each side looks like brain. And any food that looks like brain, in fact, is good for the brain. So you can see the walnut looks like brain, so it's good for the brain, right? And the tomatoes also great. Now, if I say like this fish I mentioned, they great, doesn't mean that eat a lot of sardine. No. If you eat a lot of sardine, you're going to have a problem. So you eat in moderation. Everything that even is healthy, you have to eat in moderation. There are herbs, there are natural pack that's really, really very, very useful. That it contains all the nutrients you need. That is a natural link memory pack that can support your memory even if you don't have memory problems. Prevention is always better than cure. Blood clots or bleeding in your brain can also contribute to this problem. Mental health conditions like depression or anxiety can contribute to short-term memory problems. Those that take too much alcohol, tobacco, that is cigarette smoking, normally reduce the amount of oxygen that gets to the brain. And if your brain doesn't get enough oxygen and nutrients, then it cannot form new nerves, new connections if they are not formed, and the brain also cells not produce quickly, then the brain shrinks so quickly, and then these problems, brain disorders, forgetfulness, confusion may set in, and then more serious problems like Alzheimer's, dementia may also follow. So it's really very important for us to make sure that we provide the brain with what it needs. Stress is another factor. Stress is something that affects everyone. Better if you don't have good nutrition and have good night's sleep, you can't stand stress. Stress is something that is within our command, within our control. But then if you have a good nutritional status and you sleep well in the night, you exercise, you can contain in stress. Stress is relative. What is stressful for somebody may not be stressful for another person. So stress is relative. It's something that is how we respond to situation. In fact, in this life, it's not what happens to you, but it's how we respond. So if you want to be under control, to put stress under control, then we have to respond with wisdom to anything that happens to us. Well, today we've been enlightened. Our minds have been opened to short-term memory loss or the failing memory. We have realized that if your memory is failing with age, some things could be normal, but certain things may be abnormal. It could be the onset of serious underlying health problems. So we shouldn't underestimate anything, but our advice that we should make sure we clean our arteries. We make sure we have strong heart that pumps. We make sure we have good circulation. We make sure that we digest our food well to get the nutrients. We make sure that we cleanse the liver. The liver is a distributor of nutrients, is the manager in the body to distribute nutrients. And the blood is the transport system to transport it to your brain. So it's very important. The body, actually the system, we have 11 systems in the body. They all work together. We should ensure that the 11 systems are working beautifully to have a healthy brain. And if we have a healthy brain, we live longer and we can enjoy quality life. Thank you very much for joining me today. But please don't forget, call me outside the UK. It's +44 738 464 7300. Calling me within the UK is 0738 464 7300. This number is WhatsApp number 2. Call and let's discuss any chronic problem. It may be you, it may not be you. Just share this number. Go to our YouTube channel to put in Dr. James, Natural Link. Dr. James Natural Link. And you'll see a lot of presentations there. Share the presentation. Be a blessing to someone, and God will bless you. Subscribe so that you don't miss any of the programs. I look forward to having you around again next week with a fresh or with a brand new topic. Thank you very much for joining me today. God bless you. Goodbye for now. Bye-bye.